Today is Saturday, November 21st, 2015, and this is the Bunny Slips of Evil Job Seekers Call-In Show, presented by Evil Bunny Consulting. I'm your host, Tyrone Griffin, and if it's 3 p.m. and you have on your bunny slippers, you are not looking for a job. Welcome, first-time and returning listeners. In this show, we usually discuss strategies and tactics of job search, staying motivated, and dealing with career transition. For more tips, resources, daily motivations, and to listen to archive shows, go to the website bunnyslippersofevil.com. There you will also find links to our Facebook page, our Twitter handle, and our YouTube channel. If you're listening live, don't call in. If you're listening live, just keep listening. And now a word from our sponsors. Evil Bunny Consulting is the alternative to expensive outplacement. They give company-sponsored job seeker workshops as well as a one-on-one job seeker bootcamp. For more information, go to www.bunnyslippersofevil.com. Resume Edit is the low-cost, high-quality resume writing company with resumes as low as $35 written by certified resume writers. You can find them online at resume4edit.com or call 404-860-2473. Be sure to tell them you heard about them on the Bunny Slippers of Evil Job Seekers podcast. Let 3dresumes.net turn your resume into a web page with a customized domain for 12 months for only $30. Help hiring managers and recruiters find you, make your resume available 24/7, and get a professional personalized email address just for your job search. You can see my online resume at tyronegriffin.com. For more information on how to get your own, go to 3dresumes.net. If you are thinking or about to look for a job in today's world, you will find a new reality in the job search process. The world has changed. Job search today is much more complicated than 5 years ago. Volumes of resumes, more applicant screening systems, depersonalized applications, panel interviews, team hiring, long complicated applications, branding, and social media. Yes, the world has changed. But have you? Are you still trying yesterday's approach? Why struggle and miss out on today's opportunity? Career Oyster is here to help. Great coaches, the latest resources, unique strategies personally tailored to your job search. Find out the new reality and how you can prevent costly mistakes. To register for a free 45-minute private session with head coach Howard Caddy, go to careeroyster.com. Find out the facts now. You'll be glad you did. Remember their motto, the world is your oyster, be the pearl. Well, good morning, everybody, and thank you for tuning in again. This is a special show I'm doing this week. This one, it's not necessarily directly related to job search. If you're a job seeker, please feel free to look at the YouTube channel, and there's a ton. I've done a lot of shows. Been doing the last 6 or 8 of them have been video. So you have video. But before that, I got 5 years worth of shows in iTunes. So apologize for this week, but sometimes you get moved by something and you gotta just talk about it. So this week, I'm going to talk about, this is a special episode again, and the title is What High School Marching Band Taught Me About Coaching. First, a little background. I'm in a band. Some of you know I'm a band father. I've been watching my son for the last 4 years. Marching band, going to all the games. So I've watched a lot of band, marching bands, there was always 2 schools, and I've also watched a lot of football games. And I've learned a lot watching our band. And for a high school coach, here's the thing: if you're a high school coach, band director, manager of a team, male or female, you have to understand something. Coaching is more than just X's and O's. Okay? Particularly in high school. See, somebody said to me years and years ago, back when I ran track in high school, our coach said something. He said, track is 9/10 mental. And all sports, believe it or not, are 9/10 mental. Okay? But as a high school coach, manager, or director, leader, any kind of leader of a team sport, you're not just teaching how to play the game, the sport. That's not all you're teaching. You are charged. You're trying to teach these kids confidence, respect, sportsmanship, adaptability, to test assumptions. You're teaching them, or you should be teaching them, or trying to teach them to be good, productive members of society. So it's not just what's happening on the field. And hopefully, in the process, you're winning. Okay? Because I understand that part of the reason coaches, managers are hired, directors are hired, is to win. The administration doesn't want to hear about respect and adaptability. They want to hear wins. Some parents don't want to hear about these things. They want wins. I've sat in the stands with, football parents, and losing their minds, on a bad play, or they feel like the ref missed something, and it cracks me up because my personal feeling is I am not about to have a heart attack because your kid forgot his play. It's not going to happen. But anyway, let's talk about winning. Now, as a coach, manager, director, you only have two assets at your disposal for your team. There's only two things that you have possibly that you can use. One of them is talent, and the other is a system. I'll explain that. See, talent comes and goes. Okay. What's the difference between talent and a system? Talent is the Miami Heat a few years ago. They won a couple of championships in a row. That was talent. A system is the San Antonio Spurs to win multiple championships over a decade. Talent can get you championships, but a system can get you a dynasty. That is the difference. If you want to win consistently. See, what I was fortunate enough to watch our band, and they were always good. Talent went up and down, but they were always good. Why is that? Because our band director has a system. Okay. So when the talent wasn't there, he had the system to keep going. When the talent was there, he had a system so they would be better. You can always tell, coaches know this stuff. I'm not telling you anything you don't know. But coaches will give you hints to what they're thinking. Some of your fellow coaches. When they know they don't have a system and their talent leaves, they will say things, and this is just not high school coaches, college coaches say this, and professional coaches say this. They'll say, this is a rebuilding year. In high school sports, one of the reasons they say that is, well, we had a lot of seniors graduate last year, so this year we're rebuilding. My question is this. You knew those seniors were graduating last year. At the beginning of the season, you knew I'm going to lose X number of seniors. With football, basketball, volleyball, whatever, you knew I'm going to lose these seniors. My question is, what did you do to move your juniors into that role? What did you do to prepare your underclassmen to take on that leadership role? I've sat and watched football games high school games where there may be 60, 70 kids on the sideline. And I know some of them are, may not be able to play because they're JV and they let them dress and all that kind of thing. But you got a lot of kids who are sophomores, juniors, and seniors who are eligible to play, and they never get in the game. And I mean, all season, they may get one play all game. In the fourth quarter, even earlier, as a coach, do you put these kids in? Like, well, they're not good enough. They're not good enough to play, then A, get them off the team, or B, make them good enough. Teach them. And we'll talk about that in adaptability. But when you're down 48-0 or you're up 48-0, you got kids who may not get a lot of playing time. And I understand that. Put them in the game. Heck, put them in the first quarter for one play. One play. The play's going away from them. Put them in the game so that they get some experience. Because what happens is, then you put them in the next season, and they're kids who all of a sudden have not played but 2 downs all last year. And now you're telling them, we need you to be a leader. It's like, well, wait a minute. Have you trained me to be a leader? See, that as a coach, that's part of your job, is to train these kids to be leaders. But let me back off so I go through my process. Like I said, the band, I always watch the band good. No matter what the challenge, the band was always good. And things were not always perfect. There was rain, there was bad fields, there were instruments broken, there were people got sick, but the band adapted. They adapted to whatever situation they had to deal with. Because they were taught how to adapt. I've seen football games. I've watched for 4 years. I've watched games on both sides, not just our team, other teams, where something happens and they don't adapt to it. When a team is good, year after year after year, credit the coach. When a team is bad, year after year after year, you got to blame the coach. Because again, talent comes and goes. That's just the nature of sports, period. You will not always have the level of talent that you want. But what do you do with the talent you have? How do you develop a system and make everybody fit the system because the system works? Or do you just rely on talent? NBA, to some extent, maybe 10 years ago, they got into this thing where teams, instead of building a team, they would get one player and they would try to build around that player. They would just say, isolation ball, they call it. This guy's on one side of the floor and the whole rest of his team is on the other side. And they're waiting for him to make something happen. They don't have a system. They're relying on talent. And when that talent leaves, well, we're in a rebuilding year because you didn't have a system. So let's talk about adaptability. This first thing I want to talk about. The thing is, adaptability is very important, not just in sports, but also in life. Because you never know what's going to happen. No matter how hard you train and coach and drill, invariably, as soon as the competition starts, something goes as a way you didn't expect. Mike Tyson had a great quote. He said, everybody has a plan till they get hit. Then you throw your plan out the window, and how do you adapt? How do you adapt? I saw a game once where a cornerback got burned for 3 touchdowns. Same exact play. They ran the same play, and he got burned on a pass for 3 touchdowns. And before he got burned, and even after, and it wasn't 3 consecutive plays, it was like second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter, same play. Okay, but you could see the other team was setting it up. You could see where the receiver would go out, split out wide, and just run a pattern when the ball was going to the other side of the field. You could see that this receiver was blowing past this cornerback every time. But the cornerback didn't adapt. He was still 5 yards off the ball trying to guard this guy man up. And every time the guy was blowing past him. I don't blame the cornerback for that. I blame the coach for 2 things. Number one, the coach never taught this cornerback how to adapt in practice. And number 2, in the game, the coach hung him out there to dry. We can't expect our athletes to just learn something by osmosis if we haven't told them to look for it. So this guy got burned for 3 touchdowns in the same game. The same receiver caught pass 3 times. He just burned by him. Quarterback put the ball up, and it was no contest. But you saw it happening all through the game. If you were watching, you saw this receiver running past this guy, testing him, going, oh, I can beat this guy. So when they decided to run the play, it was like, yeah, I got him. Here's a formation. He doesn't know what to do. On the other side of the ball, as a receiver, coaches, have you taught your receivers, and I'm not just going to dwell on football, but football is one of the sports I know. Have you taught your receivers to come in at halftime and tell you what plays they can beat that cornerback or that free safety on? Or are they just out there running patterns? Or are they out there just sticking with all what they know and not looking around and trying to learn and trying to question and trying to see, how do I overcome this obstacle? It's not just receivers. I've seen linebackers get split out because the other team ran a formation and split a receiver out, a second receiver, and the linebacker went out there and tried to guard the receiver. And oh yeah, it was ugly. It was ugly. That big old linebacker trying to stick with that little receiver blew him off the field. Just ran around him because it different skill set. But after it happened one time, nobody said, okay, if they do this formation again, this is how we switch. You go over there, I go over here. Because you can't, your skill set, what you've been built to play, everything we've taught you does not help you adapt to that situation. So this is how we're going to adapt to it. Nobody taught that. Let me ask you this as a coach. See, because football, especially, because football is supposed to be a game of just, hitting and pounding, but it's more mental than that. If you have an offensive lineman, and on pass blocking, the defensive lineman is just running him over because maybe he outweighs this kid by 50 or 60 pounds. So they can't go head up. It's no contest, weight on weight. This kid is not strong enough. What do? You leave him in there and say, get tough, just get tough. You're not doing your job, you're not doing your job. He can't. And it's no insult to the athlete. He just does not have the skills. So he does not have the weight. He's too light in the behind, as we used to say. What does he do? Have you taught him as a coach any skills of, okay, how do I use this person's size against them? How do I take the skills I do have? Maybe I'm faster than this person. How do I turn his advantage into a disadvantage and not just try to go head up with him? How do I divert? How do I deflect? How do I learn how do I get help from the guy next to me and how to get this guy to stop this guy? How do we do that? If they haven't been taught that, they haven't been taught how to adapt like that, then they won't do it. But again, that goes back to the coaching. And adaptability is a life asset. It's something that you will need all your life. Your first interview, you prepare for it, You get in that interview and they ask you a question like, what color is your brain? And you have not prepared for that. You have to adapt. You're on the job and you prepare for a meeting, a big presentation you have to senior management, and you dotted your I's and cross your T's, and here's your presentation in order. And you got 10 slides you're going to show them. And at the end of those 10 slides, they're going to praise you like a god or goddess. That's when in your mind. And you walk in there to that meeting and you show the first slide, and somebody asks a question that you didn't anticipate. And it derails the whole conversation. How do you deal with it? The way you deal with that is by having all of your tools available, of knowing your information, but most importantly, being able to adapt. When you cannot use brute force, and this is what coaches have taught for years, use brute force. Football is a game of hitting. Use brute force, get in front of them, hit them hard. Okay? But what if you don't have that? What if that receiver that you're guarding runs a 4.2 40, and you're the cornerback, you're running a 4.8, and he's blowing you off the field? What do you do? How do you adapt? You back up. Instead of being 5 yards off him, you get 10 yards off him or 15 yards off him. Okay? And you run back hard after that and make him run past you. Let him stay under you. Those are the things you have to teach as a coach. You have to teach those things to your students, to your athletes, your student athletes. Basketball, give an example there. How many times have we seen, players breaking down and the center runs out to the 3-point line to catch a pass, just to take the pressure off of his point guard. He's out at the 3-point line with the ball, and his guy who's guarding him is like 30 feet off him. He's like, wait for him in the lane, because it's like, dude, you're not going to shoot. If you're not going to be a threat, don't go out there, period. But if you get the ball out there and they give you the open shot, take it. Doesn't matter if you throw it out of bounds, take the shot. That's the life lesson here. Take the shot. If you have an opening, take the shot. Because the next time you get out there, they will come guard you. And then you can work your offense. But it's hard to work an offense 5-on-4. When you're out there at the 3-point line and all your men are guarded and they got a free man, and he's just like waiting for whoever he wants to double team, but he knows that you're not going to shoot. Take the shot. Teach your players, take the shot. No matter what, take the shot. Okay? Doesn't matter. You miss it or not, but take it. Don't be afraid to take that shot. If you're not going to take that shot, don't go out there. I don't care who's in trouble. You go out there, and all of a sudden now they got a whole bigger problem because it's 5-on-4. And you're standing there with the ball and everybody's guarded. Now you got to try to get it back to somebody. Take the shot. But that's, again, the important thing there is adaptability. Adaptability. Let's talk about the other things. Confidence. Confidence is one of those really hard things to teach. But you learn confidence by doing your homework. That's how you learn self-confidence, by being prepared. So you build confidence in an athlete by helping them prepare, helping them be prepared so that no matter what happens, they can adapt. You see how these things are connected? Okay. When you have taught your your athletes, and again, it's not just football and basketball, it could be volleyball, it could be any sport. When you've taught your athletes how to adapt to a situation, it builds their confidence. That's how you build confidence, by teaching people, by having all the tools available. You don't go into war with a pistol with 2 bullets in it. You go into war with an arsenal, because whatever happens, you want to be able to adapt to the situation and be able to keep going. Okay? So that's confidence. We talked about adaptability, talked about confidence. Let's talk about respect and sportsmanship. Now, this is something that college sports does not teach: respect and sportsmanship. As a matter of fact, it goes the other way. It de-emphasizes. You look at how college football especially is played. Every week you get these scores: 48-0, 52-0, 60-10. Why are you getting those scores? Because teams are running up the score intentionally. It's not about winning anymore. It's about destroying your opponent so that you can get a higher rating, higher ranking in when they do the top 25 poll, so that maybe you can get into a bowl game. So all that goes out the window. And what's going to have to happen for them, and even then probably people won't wake up, is you're going to have a Heisman Trophy candidate, like the top candidate in the country. And he's in a game where the score is like 52-0 with 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter. And his coach keeps him in there because they're trying to get their ranking up a little higher. And he's going to get hit. Because I'll tell you what happens on the other side of the ball. When you're getting blown out by 48-0 or 52-10 or whatever, and they keep their starting team in there and they're just destroying you, running you over, there's a point where you don't care about the game anymore. You don't care because we can't win the game. And your mind goes to one simple thing: let's hurt somebody. Okay? And that's when people get, so it does not teach sportsmanship, because it rewards the teams that embarrass, that blow out the other teams. So it doesn't teach sportsmanship. Respect. I saw a game, I saw a lot of games in the 4 years I followed band. There was this one kid, he kept getting unnecessary roughness penalties. He kept getting them. He just kept getting them. Because after the play was over, he would hit somebody, or after the play was over, he was, the guy's running out of bounds and he, hit him 2 feet out of bounds or whatever. And the coach kept him in, and it was like, yeah, he's playing the game hard. Keep him in there. He's inspiring his team. Coach should have took him out. Should have took him out, sat him down, and said, you sit down the rest of this game, and you may not play next week, because that's the kid with anger management issues, and nobody's addressing them. And all of a sudden, go fast forward 10, 12, 15 years, when this guy's married, and he's abusing his wife. And I'm not saying it will absolutely happen that way, but it could. If you're having that kind of control issues, because all athletes know a lot of that jumping around and screaming and getting mad is all about theatrics. We know that. Particularly in professional sports, but high school, college as well, we know it's about theatrics. Ref throws a flag and you have a meltdown. You have a hissy fit because of the ref throw a flag. Really? It's a flag. It's one flag. Okay, maybe it's pink one day, one game, 1 week, a year, but it's a flag. And you run around throwing a hissy fit. Coach throwing the headphones up. Really? We care about this game so much. Man, please. Okay, if you cared about the game, you'd respect your opponents. You would respect them. When you score, you don't taunt if you care about the game. You don't go sissying around and doing your little end zone, drop the bomb, everybody fall out kind of stuff. That's not showing respect for the game. When you burn somebody on a play and you score a 99-yard touchdown, you don't run up to the sideline going, okay? You don't make faces. That's not respecting the game. Okay? Anyway, sorry. I said you don't allow if a player teases another team, you take them out. Why? Because you're looking big picture here. Big picture. Okay? It's not just about this game. It's about building a system. And a system is built on respect. Again, I go back to what we talked about earlier, the San Antonio Spurs. And yeah, that's my favorite team, I'm not gonna lie. But even when they lose, they're my favorite team. And why do they have so much respect around the league? Because they always play like this. but they respect their opponents. You see them make a shot and they just run back up the floor. The tone was set, not just with Tim Duncan, it was set with David Robinson before him. You make a shot, you run back up the floor and play offense. You don't, like LeBron does and all that. And you be the Black Mamba look like Kobe does. You respect your opponents because we've all been there. We've all been on the downside of that, and we know how much it hurts. And the thing is, with professional sports especially, everybody on that field or on that court has somebody at home that's watching them. Some child or nephew or somebody, friends who are watching them and are thankful that they are at that level. And when you don't respect them, you spit on them and all their friends watching. You embarrass them in front. It's not about embarrassing. It's about winning games. Anyway, but like I said, the coach left this kid in because he was doing great things. They lost the game, but this kid was showing he's tough. But I'd rather have a kid that shows he's smart. I'd rather have an athlete who's in control of his emotions. Okay, that's what you want as a coach, control of his emotions instead of this running around crazy person. Okay. But anyway, as we wrap this up, as a coach, a manager, a director of any high school extracurricular activities, your job is to teach them life skills. You think it's about winning, and maybe the administration tells you it's about winning, but if you teach them life skills, if you teach them respect, you teach them confidence, you teach them how to adapt, you teach them how to question things and be curious. If you teach them all these things, you will have a better program for years. You will have a dynasty for years if you develop the right system and you develop your kids, your athletes, so that when the talent is there, you can take advantage of it. You have a huddle. Football, you have a huddle, so nobody knows what play you're going to call. But you call a huddle to punt, and 99% of the people know you're going to punt, but you call a huddle for that? You just come into the line, guys, on 3, go. You teach them to use. If you go into the huddle, come out and do something they don't expect every play. There's a reason you have the huddle. There's a reason you have calls at the line. The quarterback sees something. He doesn't go, hey, you can burn this guy, so I want you to run a cross pattern. He has signals. Use them. There was a high school coach it was on Bryant Gumbel's show a couple of months back. He never punts. He onside kicks every game. That's his game. And he wins consistently because he has a system. He says, I'm not giving you the ball, period. And he embeds that into his team. They have a system. So they've been good for years. When the talent was like this, they always are good. They are always getting better because he's got a system. As a high school coach of anything, coach, band director, manager, whatever, do you have a system of excellence? Do you have a system that you make the players conform to, or do you just hope to God that the parents will be making big babies or they'll be making fast babies? Build a system. As a coach, your job is so much more than winning games. It is so much more. As a parent, I'm telling you, I will not remember the scores of the games my child's sophomore, or junior, or senior year, 10 years from now. I will not remember what the scores were. If they got blown out, I will not remember it. And my child probably won't remember it. But you know what we will remember? If you taught them respect, courtesy, decency, confidence, sportsmanship, those are the things that we will remember, and we will remember you for them. Okay? So work on building those things as a coach, as a director, as a manager, whatever the sport is. Build strong, productive members of society who can handle loss as gracefully as they handle wins. Because life is about success and failures, and it's about how you adapt to them, how you handle them. So worry about that and worry less about teaching kids how to win. If you do these things, don't worry about the bottom line. You worry about all the things that go into the bottom line. If you do that, your bottom line will be there. Okay. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Again, this show was totally off the rails. So have a good week. Next week, we'll be back to our regular scheduled shows. Hope somebody can use this message. Take care. Have a good week. And next week is our thankful show, our show about thanks, what we're thankful for. So call in if you want. Take care and bye-bye.